There is a perfect example of motherhood out there. We've all felt its presence. It lingers in our social media feed, in the products we buy, the answers to the questions we research. Even though we know it's not real, we feel it spotlight what we could be doing better.
Join two best friends as they step off the stage of motherhood and go behind the scenes with moms from different walks of life.
The Momcult Podcast. Real moms, real talk, real tired. Well, hey guys.
Hey, Joy.
Welcome
Hi.
to episode 9 of the Momcult Podcast. And I am so excited because my guests today are my sweet, dear cousins who are twins, Sarah and Cathey.
Thanks for having us.
Joy.
Of course. And they have a way more successful podcast than
Dead
we
serious
do.
podcast.
I don't think so. Y'all are not giving each
You guys have
self-credit.
way more followers on Instagram.
Isn't it annoying that we have to measure
That's how
it
I
like
base
that?
everything. Yeah.
Gauge
Yeah,
success.
That's how.
Yeah. Well,
I
also,
thought we were all on the
about.
same page about that's how we gauge success.
is that
it
not what means anything? Or
Unfortunately.
not?
But it's called
sweet.
Talk to Me Sister. They'll cover a little bit about their story, but I don't want to cover too many details about it because I want people to come and listen to y'all's podcast to get the full story.
We'll give them the secrets here,
Yeah.
and then they can come find out more.
Exactly. Yeah.
I had kind
Breadcrumbs.
of I'm sorry.
No. I just said breadcrumbs. It was stupid.
Breadcrumbs.
Cut that.
Breadcrumbs. I had dabbled in your podcast before and listened to some, and then the last several days you know how like whenever you start listening to a new or like watching a new show and you like kind of fangirl. So right in the middle of that, I'm getting to meet you guys for the first time. So
Sarah.
So if she throws up,
Wait, that
don't
makes
let it
me
stress
so
you out.
happy. I'm so
We
glad.
binged
Yeah.
our podcast. Honestly, it's like I am honored. Thank you.
I'm
I'm really
honored too.
excited.
We love it, and we've just turned one.
Oh,
Our pod
wow.
last week. No, 2 weeks ago.
that is
Congratulations.
Y'all have, congrats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all have happy birthday.
It's pretty
Thank you.
wild. We've had some amazing guests, and it's been great. And we also, in the same token, feel like we're also fangirl. Y'all's podcast is awesome and hilarious
Okay,
and
good,
such
good.
needed
And
in the
real.
mom world.
Yeah.
And we've said from the start, we got to do a collab with Joy, or we got to have her on. So you beat us to the punch.
Well,
So now we're here. Yeah.
I had to because you guys got your podcast out before I got mine out. So that was my way of
I gotcha.
feeling like I caught back up.
I think we're all in the same boat that we just have no idea what we're doing, but we're doing it.
We're doing
So,
And now we're here together.
Yep.
So
Well, I'm going to
life
not
is
self-deprecate too much, but you guys really seem like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, you got sponsors, professional photos,
Yeah.
We're just
magazines.
like faking it till we make it, though.
Well,
which
that's
is
right,
like
guys.
what you got to do.
Well,
that's-
listeners, check it out. I'm just
That's
saying.
right.
I'm
We're
not even
kidding.
going to oversell it. I don't need
No.
to. Just go.
Yes, listen, we would love it.
Okay. Okay,
I'm
that's
just
all.
glad you guys are my family, or else I'd really hate you.
Did we say
I
that
don't
y'all
have
are
to.
cousins?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
We are
I started with
cousins.
that.
We're
Yeah.
cousins.
All right. Well, so who wants to check in first? You?
Oh, sure.
How you doing this week?
I'm good. He, Parker, who's 2, has been carrying around fruit or vegetables like it's something he needs all the time, like not in like a super weird way. It's just like a mildly weird way, but he carries around an orange, like lately, this week specifically.
Like a comfort blanket?
Well, he also has that, but it's like he gets obsessed with something that's like an orange, for example, or the other day it was like 5 grape tomatoes that he needed in a bowl,
Had to have them.
and he squished one eventually, and he didn't like, I won't let him take him to bed or anything, but anyway.
You just have a lot of
yeah.
grape tomatoes in the bed.
Yeah.
2 is so freaking cute.
I would just throw the sheets away. I'm like, can't deal with it.
No, he squeezed it upstairs, and I was like, "That's exactly what I was stressed about."
Yep. No
Knew this
more.
would happen. I
No
think I
more.
wrote, so yeah, tomatoes are stressful.
Tomatoes are
Just a note to any moms out there.
Yeah,
There is a consequence.
That's a good thing to like, be obsessed about, though. Fruit or vegetables. I mean, I've been trying to
Yeah.
get Charlotte to be obsessed with fruits and vegetables
well,
for years.
I kind of thought that I gave myself points from carrying them. He's not eating them.
Oh,
it's good
Yeah.
exposure.
I thought it was like
Step
nibble on
one.
it.
No.
Yeah.
Good exposure, yeah.
Step 1. Baby steps.
Just carry them around.
Things are good, fruity.
Getting fruity.
Sorry.
Love it.
I loved it.
What about you?
I'm good. We just got back from New York with Ava. Did like a solo trip with her, or not, I mean like me and Jeremy solo without the baby. And that was a roaring success. She had so much fun. even just yesterday, Jeremy was like, I just feel more connected to her. And I was like, yes, that's exactly how I feel. Like, we just making new memories, which you would think that you do that kind of on a day-to-day basis, but it's got to be something outside of the normal routine. Yeah. And it just felt so nice to have just add some memories with her, because she's old enough where we know she's going to be retaining them. And so that just felt nice to like have something to talk to her about, just to be like, oh, hey, remember when this thing happened? Or because we were there for enough days where it felt like we had a really good amount of time.
Like some core memories.
Yeah, it was really fun.
I was jealous. I'm jealous. I'll be honest.
I'm jealous now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I haven't been to New York in
let's go.
years.
Yeah.
I'll go back.
Okay.
I think make some more money first, and then we can go back.
Yeah, I was going to say, will you take us and just basically do exactly what you did with Ava with us?
Please.
All right, other Sarah,
Okay.
how are you doing this week?
Oh, we're hanging on. We just moved, like you said. We've lived downtown for, 7 years. It's been our life down there. And we just moved to the country, literally, to Arrington area. We have an Eagleville address, which is like, people are like, yeah.
Like
so we're
that.
not that cool.
Right.
I love that.
But our neighbors have buffalo, bison.
No big deal.
Our dog was barking the other day, a couple days ago. We're like, what is this? Like, what's happening? Because she's old. I mean, she doesn't really bark that much. And we went up to the fence line, and there were two huge bison. And I was like,
Your dog is like, what?
Yeah, well, I was scared and confused, and so was my dog. And
Millie's
Charlotte.
lived in like a grass this big.
Oh yeah, we don't even see trees, and so now we see buffalo. But I was like, honestly, this is great. We can save on zoo tickets. Yeah,
And
I
that's
don't know.
it. But that's good enough. That's all you need. That's enough reason.
Yeah, but we're hanging on. I mean, I'm excited. But it's been rough. Like, the kids are sick. We've started a new school, new house, new everything.
A lot of transitions.
We're like in the adjustment.
Yeah.
I was like, had a real emotional morning this morning. Like, just like, kids are transitioning, everybody's in tears, and I'm like, I gotta pull it together for the podcast later.
Well, you definitely did. According to your outfit and your hair, you really pulled it together.
I did. Well, I got my hair done yesterday, and I can leave this blowout in for at least 2 days and fool people.
I mean, maybe
I could leave that blowout in for weeks.
Oh yeah,
I was
I'll
like-
do way more than 2 days.
Yeah, like 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm like how much dry shampoo can I crust in here? But
Cathey,
yeah,
how
we're
about
good.
you? Good.
It's been a good week. My kids went back to last week was spring break, so
Survived.
It felt long. Yeah, it felt long because we didn't have many plans. We actually planned to go camping and canceled it because it freaking snowed.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so Ruthie was home. I do love when she's home, but it's tough when she goes back because Sam has a hard time all of a sudden being alone again because they're best buds. I have a almost 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, so they're very close. They're very close in age. They're buddies. He feels very lonesome when she's gone, so we try to fill our week. But Ruthie and I had a really fun experience. I didn't know to look forward to until it happened. I was
Those are the best kind.
this was amazing. We went to Ulta, guys. I took her. She's 7.
Wait, why do I not know what that is?
Ulta's like Sephora.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah.
It's in Cool Springs. So we went to Ulta. I had to pick up something, and I was like, "You can come with me." And she walked in, and she was like, "What is this magical place?" And I was like, "These are samples. These are makeup samples."
What?
And she was like, "Hold on, I can try any of this."
let me show you a life hack.
Yes,
You can only go like once every 2 weeks.
just
and
once
they
every
know
2
your
weeks.
face.
Yeah. I literally, we planned. She has a father-daughter dance coming up, and it's an '80s dance. And I was like, "We can come." Blue eyeshadow, red lips, hot pink cheeks. So we stayed for much longer than we should have, and tried on so many samples. And when we checked out, I'm sure the lady was like, "Did you guys find everything?"
Everything.
Everything. We had lots of blush, lots.
Did
of
you
different
buy
colors.
anything, or is it just?
I did buy some lip stain, and I actually returned it.
Oh my god! They'll give you a free gift on your birthday, so that's.
I know. I actually
Worth
meant to
it.
buy the lip stain. I just got home and then I realized I didn't like it. So
Yeah.
anyway, I was just it looked different in the light of all the shimmer that I had on my face.
Right.
But
all
anyway,
the
we had
all the caked
all the
on
caked on.
makeup that you already had. The lipstick looked great.
Right. It looked really good. And when I got home, I was like, what was I thinking? This was very shimmery. So we had a blast, me and her. She's 7, and we left with really lots of blush, and we're going to go back just for a date.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Fun memory that I could see her
That's a fun age.
eyes
I can't
light
wait
up.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
fun. anyway, that's just a simple thing, but it made my entire week, and we're back into the routine of things, and I'm happy to be here on y'all's podcast.
Thank you for being here.
Welcome. Well, I mean, you guys have done this so many times together on your podcast or the Ellen Show or People Magazine.
Yeah.
So I feel like normally I would give like a little intro of your story, but I feel like you guys will tell it better than I will, or probably already have kind of a layout of how you guys tell it or what you start with. I guess it starts with you, technically, Sarah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys feel free to take it away and share with our listeners kind of the biggest journey over the last handful of years.
Oh my gosh, yeah. How long is this podcast? How much detail should I give? Yeah,
the overview, because we'll do have lots of detailed episodes.
Do like an overview, because I would love people to.
We'll do a quick overview.
Start listening to yours to get all the details.
Yeah, because we deep dive into specific moments of our journey on our podcast. Yeah. But I think it started. I was pregnant with Charlotte, who I just mentioned. She's 5, or going to be 5 in May. Had her in 2017. Is that right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So kind of was at like the height of my corporate career and was like, I just need a break. I was uber postpartum. 6 weeks after I delivered her, I went back to work. I do not recommend that. Was like, I literally remember a moment I was like in the boardroom of executives and my boobs were like leaking and I was like, I can't do this, gotta go. And I just like walked out. But yeah, I was super postpartum and couldn't really put, I never had a baby before, so I couldn't really pinpoint what was kind of wrong.
Right, you don't even have the language to explain what you're feeling because it's all new feelings.
Emotionally, it was just really hard. So I was like, I need a setback. I need to take a break. I need to rest. I need to be home. So I was home doing the stay-at-home mom life, loving it. Actually started to feel really good, started to feel a lot better. And when she turned 1, about a couple months after I left my job, I started feeling a lot better, but I was starting to have like this prolonged bleeding. I had a period that lasted like 35 days, which is like, honestly, I look back at that and I'm like, did I not have like that?
Why was I not alarmed?
Why was I not alarmed? But I had spent, your postpartum, you bleed for like 6 weeks after baby. Mm-hmm. I don't know how graphic I could get on this podcast.
As graphic as you want.
Yeah. But so I talked to Cathey, and she's, women's health and kind of like been my walking WebMD like my whole entire life. Like,
and she was like, "You're fine."
No, she actually opposite. She always validated. She had Ruthie already, so she'd had babies, she'd had miscarriages. She always kind of validated like my postpartum feelings, but also was kind of like, hey, like you're far enough out of postpartum that a 35-day period is not normal. So long story short, went to the doctor. My blood work said I was pregnant, which was wild to me because I thought I was like, okay, wouldn't I know I had a miscarriage? This is crazy. Right. So then I was like, there's grief of that. And I was like, oh my gosh, and then I got an ultrasound and there was no gestational sac or sign of a pregnancy. So they sent me home with that medication to labor at home because they thought, well, maybe there's just like more that needs to happen. Nothing happened there. Anyway, two months of just question marks and blood work. They decided to finally rush me into emergency surgery, where Cathey came rushing to my side at St. Thomas, holding my hand. They said
emergency surgery because you were still just like bleeding consistently.
Yeah.
Or like what made the decision to be like, it's time to go to the hospital?
Well, they couldn't figure out what was wrong and why my blood work was saying I was pregnant. And like my blood work, my HCG hormone, which detects pregnancy, was actually rising, but they couldn't find a sign of pregnancy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so then they thought, the reason they rushed me into emergency surgery is they thought there was a pregnancy in my fallopian tube that they couldn't see.
Okay.
And they thought, that they thought maybe I had an ectopic. So they were like, we just need to get in there, do a DNC. What I didn't know at the time is they were sending tissue to a pathology report. I did not know that at the time. But anyway, at the hospital, Cathey came to rush by my side, and, the anesthesiology gal comes up. They say they have extra blood on tap in case I need a emergency hysterectomy. And I'm going like, whoa, like this went from a long period to like, I'm having a hysterectomy. Anyway, and Cathey's like trying to comfort me. Richard's there, but she says, don't worry. you know, we were actually at the time where we were talking about growing our family. So it was like at that weird moment where Charlotte was 1 and we had been talking about it. So all of this was happening at once. And Cathey's like, you know, well, okay, if you wake up and you don't have a uterus anymore, I'll have your babies. Don't worry. And I was like, can you imagine if that was true? We just kind of laughed at it in the moment because this is pre-diagnosis.
Right.
It was just kind of like, this is wild. So I woke up from that surgery. It was fine. They did not give me a hysterectomy. 1 week later, I thought that I was moving on with my life. 1 week later, the doctor called me and said, you need to come into the office now. I was like, why?
Everyone's favorite kind of phone call.
Yeah, and I said, just tell me.
Jeez.
Yeah, I said, just tell me now. I had Charlotte with me. She was 1. We were doing a play date, and she said, no, you need to come in. So, like, pit in my stomach the entire way to St. Thomas Hospital. I get into my OB's office, and she's like, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but I know you didn't see this coming, but we tested some tissue after the DNC, and you have choriocarcinoma. And my OB was like, I didn't even know what that was. I'm like, okay, well, that comforts me. She said it's very rare and you get it from a pregnancy. And it's a cancer that starts in your uterus, and there's a tumor in your uterus, and you need to go immediately across the street to the oncology office, to Dr. Nick's office, who is my oncologist. And she handed me a sticky note and then said, I'm so sorry. And I like barely remember hearing what she said. It's like if anyone listening that's like been in one of those moments of like, it's like your senses are so heightened. You like remember every moment, but at the same time it's blurry.
You're like floating above it, kind of.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
like,
it's out of body.
I know they're talking to me, but are they really talking to me?
Yeah. Like I had the sticky note, which actually I found this sticky note when we were moving.
Ooh,
and I didn't know what to feel about it. I was like, do I burn it?
Do I frame it?
Do I frame it? Is it a symbol of like how far I'd come? But I cut it into little pieces and threw it in the trash, and I was like,
that feels good.
Nice.
That felt like a release.
See ya.
Anyway, which is like, why did I keep the sticky note? I don't know how I still had it, but anyway,
What did it say?
it was the address to the oncology office and the suite number.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember getting in the elevator and like I just was like staring at it. It's like my memory of the Post-it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy. But anyway, so I was diagnosed with choriocarcinoma. I spent 2 years doing treatment. I mean, I went into my oncologist's office that day, actually. I always appreciated this. My oncologist, who specializes in GYN cancers, works closely with my OB. And so she said, I remember Sarah. I was there during her surgery, which is like a wild God moment that like people kind of come into your life for a reason. You don't really know it. Like it was just a wild thing that I was in her office a week later as now her patient. But she was like, don't let Sarah go home with this news. Send her to my office. And she is like my own personal hero, but she just totally gave me this comfort and sense of peace that day one. She was like, we don't know your staging yet. We haven't done scans. We don't know how we're going to tackle this, but we are. And she was like, you leave all of the treatment and all of the medical stuff up to me. I got this. Like, she was like, just this like,
wow, you're not in this alone.
Yeah. And it was so what I needed, because no one could really, you just want somebody to tell you you're going to be okay, and no one can really do that. But I appreciated that as a physician, to where she was so confident in what she does that like she took that on her shoulders and off of mine. And then she gave me a job. Like, she was like, you worry about what you're putting in your mind.
Yeah.
Who you're surrounding yourself with. Like, she gave me all these other jobs that I needed, because you just like feel so out of control.
Right.
So I always appreciate that. Anyway, I went straight into treatment. Cathey and I work with the Chick Mission, who works with cancer patients to preserve their fertility before treatment.
Wow.
Now they're awesome. They were on our podcast, but I didn't have that time. There wasn't time. So I did treatment immediately. I mean, to wrap it up, to like hurry up the story, it was working for a while, and then it wasn't. My blood work was kind of like going back.
I feel like I remember you kind of going into, didn't you kind of go into remission at one point, and then back into it?
I actually rang the bell, did the cancer-free moment right before Christmas in 2018. So I had like 5 chemotherapy drugs. I did overnight stays in the hospital. Hadn't completely lost my hair. I lost it, but like still had a little bit of a buzz. And honestly, I never in a million years thought I would have to deal with cancer again once I rang the bell.
Right.
I think mentally I had, like, someone going through something like I had to be in that mindset. Like, I couldn't ever let myself go to, like, well, what if? And Cathey and I talk about this a lot, is like where that was kind of where like the high of fighting wore off. Like we got really weary when my cancer came back in January of 2019, because I rang the bell, was cancer free, went to Christmas, celebrated being cancer free, and just like with my family. And then that first appointment back, my Dr. Nick, my oncologist, was like, I honestly always say it was harder to hear this than the actual cancer diagnosis, because that really rocked me to my core.
Well, you've already,
I know what
it's like to go through the treatment. So you've already,
it was like an extra defeat that I was like, I know what I'm going to have to face again. And it was still, the trauma was still so fresh. Anyway, so when I had to do treatment again, they altered my drugs. It was the same kind of like chemo every week, on and off in the hospital every other week. But in 2019, when I did it again, I lost all my hair, all my eyebrows, all my eyelashes. That's when they finally had the conversation of hysterectomy. So in an eerie turn of events, a year and a half later, Cathey and I found ourselves like in the same scenario that we did pre-diagnosis, where she's standing by my bedside. I'm getting prepped for the OR. The hysterectomy is happening, and she's like, hey, do you remember what I said to you a year and a half ago?
I mean it. I
really do mean it.
I got it.
And so, like, I think that in the moment, and Cathey can take over the story from here, but, like, it was just, I don't even know. Not that we ever really thought that it would happen. It really and truly, like, in our core. I mean, maybe Cathey did. You'll have to hear her side. But I think for me, it was, like, it was such a dark place for me in that season that I just needed any kind of sliver of hope. So even her just saying that, it gave me like just a hope of a future. Even if it wasn't really going to happen, it was just like, oh, there would be a possibility I could grow my family. Right. Okay, let me picture my growing family. Oh, let me picture me in the future with my family. And it was like me picturing the future of it is like, I think was like huge for me in that time, and helped me not get so like lost in the hole of like where I was at.
Despair.
Yeah.
You want me to?
Yeah, take over. I'm talking too much.
No, you did good. You did good.
It's a lot. Yeah, so Sarah had her hysterectomy in February, and then she had a handful of months of really hard chemo. Those were definitely the hardest months of Sarah hardly walking from her bed to her bathroom without help. I mean, it was really hard. Then she rang the cancer-free bell again. And that year, Sarah spent a lot of time healing, and us as her family supporting her. We didn't really talk about surrogacy because it was like
too fresh.
It was too fresh, and the cancer had come back once before, so we were living in this questionable
limbo
season of like, can we move forward with our lives? Can Sarah move forward with her lives? Can we talk about this surrogacy thing that we've thrown around a couple times?
I was going to ask, what was it like ringing the bell the second time? Did you have like were you more nervous about it, or like less unsure? Or was it less exciting? You're just like,
Yeah, I think the hardest, like the first time I rang the bell, it was just like this like empowering moment that I would love to say I had the entire time. But the second time was like, it was healing in a sense that I let all the feelings of fear and like doubt, like feel those feelings, because I'm the type of person that doesn't like to feel. So I'm glad that I let myself go there, because it was just like, it was needed in healing. But yeah, I think that I had to really work on like my mental state. I remember asking my doctor the day I rang the bell was my last appointment where I could just go, and I didn't have to come back for treatment the next week. And it was like, there's something kind of comforting in the treatment, sort of, because it was like, oh, there's a plan. But when I rang the bell the second time, I was like, okay, I just go now. Like it was like
waiting, just wait and see.
Yeah. So it was like waiting for the other shoe to drop moment. And I had to really, like Cathey said, I mean, it took me about a year. It was like baby steps. I remember I was like, I don't know if I can just like go live. Like, how do I do that? Like, I want to live my life, but like, I don't know how to get out from under this like feeling of trauma and like fear. And so I think that it took a while for me, because she was like, you just go live. It was like simple in her mind, and she helped me as much as she could. But it was, that was like probably.
Your doctor said that, not me. I'm just clarifying.
I just like that she gives you
go
credit
live.
for all
Yeah.
the things.
Go
My
live.
doctor, I mean,
doctor
she
said
probably
that.
said it a lot more poetic, but she was
Yeah.
like simply saying like, this is your chance, you go live.
Yeah.
Like it was powerful, but also like terrifying.
Right, right.
Yeah, so just by so many miracles, Sarah's cancer-free
Yay!
today.
Yeah.
And in 2020, of all years, Sarah was feeling better, and we started having the conversation again about surrogacy. So just my background is in women's health, and I have 2 kids. And so when we were having this conversation, I was like, when we were actually having this conversation for real, I had a 3-4-year-old, and my husband and I were done having our own. But I love being pregnant. I mean, I'm one of those like really annoying people.
Oh, that's cool.
Love it. I love the pregnancy. And it's cool.
You're our first one.
I know.
Yeah, I'm like, I literally am like, I love my children, but
They're the best.
this is why she needs to have another one, which is why I'm like,
Sarah's like, you can do surrogacy again? I'm like, no.
no, your own baby.
Oh, my own. Yeah, let's have to get my
The
husband on
third,
board
the
with that.
third, the third stoner.
I'll just adopt more dogs.
By the
No,
way,
I love-
Kathy's last name is Stoner. We're not saying she
Okay.
has stoner children.
Yeah, we should, clarify that.
I know. It's the best. I married into it, so I like it a lot.
Yeah.
My husband's like, oh, my God. Yeah, so I love it. All of the world. I'm plugged in a lot to the mommy baby world for my career. And so I was really excited. I was like, oh, I really hope this is something I get to do. But we definitely waited until the moment was right. And then once we knew Sarah was going to be okay, which was always priority number 1, we started having the conversation further. And I went to Sarah's appointment with her 1-year cancer-free appointment. And we asked the doctor if it was a safe thing for me to do. We said, we're thinking about this. I would like to do this for Sarah, but we know that, this is a pregnancy-related cancer, so we have all these other odd questions that we didn't know we had. And she gave us the green light. She said this is people who have choriocarcinoma go on to have healthy pregnancies of their own if they keep their uterus. So we continued forward with fertility appointments. Sarah does still have her ovaries. She had a partial hysterectomy, which I don't know if we said. So
Yeah.
she still has her eggs, which was amazing. And
And my doctor, when we went to that appointment, so, Cathey said if you have choriocarcinoma and still have your uterus where you don't have a hysterectomy, you can go on to try for another baby. But it has to be a 12-month mark before you try again. And then for normal cancer patients who have had chemo, usually they want to wait 6 months post-chemo for egg retrieval or anything like that. So I was way in the clear, but
yes.
I think that we were ready
we were
mentally.
Yeah. We were
Kathy
like,
was
let's do
like,
it.
wasn't joking. So we were like moving forward.
Had like
Yeah.
4 conversations just about, all right, wait, are we
Wait.
really talking about
Oh,
this?
we had so many conversations like that, Joy. Like,
Our husbands too.
yeah, we
Blah,
had to
blah,
bring that. At some point, we realized, wait, we actually need to bring the boys into this conversation
Right.
because Sarah and I talk all the time.
Right.
And our husbands are close, but they don't talk.
I have no idea what
have-
the plan is.
blah. And at first we were saying our baby, like at
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
love that.
And they were like, you guys got to stop.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love when y'all
it's
say that.
actually like me and Richard's baby. So
I kept going, our baby. I mean, your baby.
yeah.
Before Sarah had her hysterectomy to go back to, I did talk to my husband and I said, this is going to be the craziest thing I'll ever ask you. Before Sarah goes into her surgery, I would love to offer this, even if it doesn't work out, like she said, to give them this opportunity and this hope, I think would help her get through this surgery. It was going to be hard. And he is a man of few words. He speaks if it's important. So I'm always like, say something, say something. And he said,
Love that
well,
quality of him.
I do too.
Yeah.
He thinks before he speaks. And
He's
I
an
don't.
observer.
Yeah, it's a good lesson learned right there. We always have to learn from Alex. But he was quiet and he said, well, my first thought is absolutely. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So I cry and he cried and he said, but then I think about having a pregnant wife and
Right.
what our family would be involved in and dynamics with us and Sarah and Richard and doing this together. And I have questions, but my initial response is yes. So we said before they had their surgery, we'd like to do this. And it took about a year to actually all 4 of us sit down and say, is this something we're going to do? And Sarah and Richard had to go through egg retrieval and make some healthy embryos first, which we didn't know what that was going to be like because Sarah had been through some serious
Right.
chemo. And it was amazing. I mean, they were like, you may get 1 embryo. And Sarah got 3 healthy embryos, which was a miracle. And this was all 2020, so we had to like all take turns at the doctor. And like
together.
everything was delayed.
I did egg retrieval kind of in private. Like Cathey said, they like to get 20 eggs when you do retrieval, which I didn't know anything about IVF, and they got 5. And I remember her being like, "This is a really expensive experiment."
Yeah.
And Richard's like, "Okay, whoa, like we're gonna do egg retrieval and surrogacy. And, like, this is crazy." But yeah, we were blown away and blessed by those healthy embryos.
Yeah, and I was glad. I was like, just more than one, because I did feel like, ugh. So after we knew they had
Some
healthy
backup,
ones, I started the screening process. And to be a surrogate, you have to go through some serious screening, physical, psychological. We had to do counseling, all 4 of us together, and legal, and that took some months. And we just like prayed through it. We're like, okay, if this is supposed to happen, like,
just like one appointment at a time, being like, okay, well, then if we get the green light after this, okay, if no one's feeling uncomfortable yet, we'll just keep going.
That's exactly what we did.
Actually, that was the whole process.
That was it.
Until, I mean, Cathey was like really pregnant. We're like, all right, we're doing it, guys.
I think it's happening.
I think it's real.
I think it's happening.
Cathey looked real pregnant.
I was like, y'all are taking this baby, right? You know? So we had to go through the whole thing, and we did embryo transplant. Transfer. Oh my gosh, I was like, that's not the right word. I did it to myself.
I would have bought it.
Yeah, bought it. Transfer, and it was just me and Sarah in the room, and it was just like, honestly, the most amazing process. It was just so precious and so sweet. We got to watch the embryologist like literally carry her son in a little petri dish, and we watched him go in my uterus on a screen. It just was incredible.
It was the coolest experience. And Richard wasn't in the room because it was COVID, so just me. And so I think it was really special for just Cathey and I.
Yeah.
And I always look for like weird signs. I think that's cool. The embryologist had our birthday, and
oh wow,
I don't know. It was just like a cool moment. The doctor was listening to James Taylor, and it was just like
it was real chill.
So cool. And
what James Taylor song?
Yeah.
Sweet Caroline.
Sweet Caroline. And I don't know. It was just like this weird moment of like
odd way
us
to
being
make a baby,
twins.
but it was incredible.
Did you implant just one embryo?
Yes. Okay. Good question. Yeah. We worked with Nashville Fertility, and they actually now only will implant one embryo in anybody doing IVF, because if you implant 2, it's like naturally a high risk pregnancy. So especially for surrogates, they won't like sign you up for a high risk pregnancy. So we just did 1.
Are the other 2 frozen somewhere? They existing?
They frozen.
They
on ice.
2 little sharp.
No pressure.
Yeah,
do you know if are they boys?
No, Cathey wouldn't do it again. There's a boy and a girl. I know. We get ovation. It's so strange. Like, But then I look at John Ryder and I feed him at night and I cuddle with him, and I'm like, I don't know. I can't get rid of these.
Yeah,
videos. And I'm still paying for their storage. Is that so weird to say?
No, not at all. No, that's completely
that's what
normal.
we just had. Tyler, who was our guest a couple episodes ago, still has eggs frozen, and she's like, what do I like? They're out there. We have to like make decisions on what happens to these at some point.
Well, the snowflake adoption is like, where you can like donate your embryos.
Yes, I've heard
I think
that.
it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, Richard also, I feel like Cathey and I are so like, let's help women. And like our husbands, like,
husband's like, can y'all just chill out for a minute?
Richard's like, can we just pump the brakes? Like, like, are we going to have like 2 children out there in the world?
He doesn't want John Ryder to be like the Truman Show.
Oh, yeah. Now, after the People magazine shoot, he was like, all right,
I'm drawing the line.
He was like, you guys can make it about you and Cathey, but like, we're not going to make John Ryder like Truman, like a little Truman, like the Truman Show. I'm like, amazing. I know. But now that he's here, I am like protective of him.
Yeah.
Have you heard of compassionate transfer? Like whenever when you're past the age that you would want to have a kid, then I think they implant them and they just, I don't know, become part of you again, maybe.
Oh, really?
Oh.
I kind of love that.
So they just like go back into your body. They just, you just don't have
I don't know exactly, but I guess dissolve. I'm not sure.
That's really sweet.
I love that, actually. Yeah.
I'm going to have to look that up.
But yeah, we did transfer, and we found out like 10 days later that I was pregnant. The nurse called both of us, and Sarah just came to my house. We didn't know what else to do. Like, go to my house.
We were just hugging and crying, and
yeah. And so it honestly was pretty easy pregnancy. Like I said, I'm one of those annoying people that really like pregnancy. It was honestly the best to be pregnant with Sarah, is what I say. Like, she was like, it's nice to have a partner who has been through pregnancy before.
Yeah.
Like, she was literally like, she would notice that I was green and show up with food. And she bought me like pajama sets from Target like once a month because she didn't know what else to do.
Right.
You know, she was like, here you go, pajamas.
I was like, what do I do? How do I be involved?
It was just the two of us at every appointment. Richard wasn't able to come until the 28-week ultrasound, where we checked on John Ryder and make sure he was great. Our kids were very involved, and it just was a family affair. It was an incredible pregnancy. We went on a baby moon together. The four of us went to Mexico.
I think around that time too is when it started to become real for Richard that like he had a son on the way.
Yeah.
It started to get real for Alex because he started to feel like he had a pregnant wife that he had to like also attend to. But like how Cathey was saying, like, even though I wasn't pregnant with John Ryder, I'd had a baby before, and there was some kind of really cool sister motherhood bond that we had during the pregnancy that was really, really special, I think.
Yeah.
It was definitely uncharted territory, which is honestly why we started our podcast, because especially Tennessee, like surrogacy isn't as common as it is in other areas of the country. So we we looked for what do we do when we first started, and we had no idea.
Right. There's like not much information out there.
Yeah, and a lot of times there's information, but it's very clinical. Like, we wanted to hear like from people who had done it.
Right.
So that's why we started that during our pregnancy. But yeah, it was a great pregnancy, and I loved it. We decided to induce John Ryder at 39 weeks. I was very ready. I had never been induced before. We decided for it to be a very calm birth because Sam, my second, was born like an hour and a half after he got to the hospital. Like, his birth was very
chaotic
fast and almost like had him in the car.
Well, and she did it all natural, which is like, OMG. And I was like, one, that's incredible. Number two, I was like, it's enough that you're carrying John Ryder for me. Like, let's give you as much meds. Like, let's please. Like, I want this to be like calm and
Did
you
you
to have a good.
Is that why you guys induced, just to eliminate any any type of like, does it happen? Just anything.
It was just, there were so many people involved too. Like, all four of us were in the room. So Alex, my husband, of course, Sarah and Richard and me. And so all four of us, the boys needed off work. Like, we didn't want it to feel rushed and chaotic. Of course, we didn't want either of John Ryder's parents to miss his birth.
Like, I was like, Cathey's third baby. What if he slips out in the like driveway? Richard was like, I can't miss his birth. You know, so we wanted
like, we needed to plan as much as we could.
We wanted to schedule, and we're such I am so type A, such planners. We both are kind of.
Yeah. And so it felt good to not to take away the like
the
unknowns.
questions,
And it was great. It was a super smooth, incredible birth. Like, it was so calm because I didn't even feel like I was laboring. And then around 5 or 6 centimeters, they were like, let's break your water. And I was like, well, if you're going to break my water, like, let me get an epidural. And so they did all that at the same time. And he was born maybe an hour and a half later.
Yeah.
It sped up.
Pushed twice.
I pushed 2 times, and he was here.
They were like the classic third baby double push.
Yeah, double push.
A couple deep breaths.
I've heard tales.
Yeah,
that's my mom says. I literally just like slipped out.
Yeah, third baby. But honestly, it was so sweet because Alex was like it was really sweet to see his support of Cathey.
Yeah.
Because he was holding one leg, I was holding one leg. Richard was like right next to me on that. I mean, he's like, this is my sister, but like,
how much am I allowed to watch?
Yeah, he's like, the day of, I was like in the mesh undies and and I was like, listen, Richard, we're just gonna go ahead and say like, you're gonna see everything today, and we'll move past it tomorrow. Like,
we'll deal with that on a different day,
I'm like,
different podcast.
Guys, we've known each other since we were 17. We've seen each other at our worst.
Your son is being born.
Vagina, it's fine.
I said it probably looks like Sarah's.
Yeah, exactly. They're probably very similar.
God, it was so sweet though.
Yeah,
I cut the cord.
Sarah cut the cord. He went straight to Sarah after she cut the cord, and they got to bond for like 2 straight hours before we did anything.
But we stayed in the room, which I think was really important.
Yeah.
I think my biggest fear with all of it with Cathey was just like
any fallout for her afterwards.
Just postpartum. Because, like, we're so connected, her and I, and, like, anything I feel, she feels, and vice versa. And so, essentially, we were on, like, these 2 different journeys, but also the same journey. And so, I think it was nice to all kind of be in the same room afterwards. And
Yeah, it was definitely a golden hour for all of us.
we were all like on
Oh my
freaking
gosh.
cloud nine.
Yeah. And John Ryder was here. I felt like I had done my job that I had signed up for.
That
like,
you wanted to do a really good job at.
I did a really good job.
I did a
and
really
he's
good
here.
job.
Look at him. Like, I felt such pride.
Yeah.
Like, I was
Yeah.
like, I did it. He's here.
Yeah.
And, I
And
got
probably
to see
always
them.
feel that way with John Ryder.
Oh, yeah. I see him and I'm like, look at his strong as neck is.
She's like, I ate a lot of spinach in the womb. And I'm like, thank you, Cathey.
Like, his eyes are so blue. Like, I literally have nothing to do with any of that, but I will feel
genetics.
proud.
Well,
But
I
hey,
don't know.
you take what you
Hey.
can get.
I'll take what I can get.
Well, I
did
just
an
think
amazing
about, like, my first thought was, what an amazing way for you to feel like, I can't imagine how helpless you felt Sarah's entire cancer journey, and you feeling like there's nothing I can do
Yeah.
to help.
Oh,
Or,
yeah.
you know, I mean, yes, there were things you could do to help, obviously. She
Yeah.
feels
Yes,
that
but-
you
Yeah,
helped. But for
absolutely.
you to feel like it gave you some closure on watching her grieve through all of that.
It 100%.
I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it's hard because when you're, especially someone really close to you is so sick. I mean, you can like bring some food, but maybe food doesn't taste good. You know, it's like everything. There's nothing you can do to actually make things better. And it was just the sweetest, most healing thing ever to see my sister be a mom again. And when we didn't think that that was going to be a thing, you know,
Yeah.
it was incredible, and it still is. And it feels like a wild dream now that it's
And it's kind of
over.
weird.
Yeah.
But I think it was honestly healing for all of us in our own way. Like Cathey would spend the night with me in the hospital, which is the same hospital John Ryder would give birth at. So like,
It's crazy.
you know, she would spend the night with me in the hospital and like try to get me to like sit up and feel better. And so I think that when John Ryder was born, it was like this, like you said earlier, this like crazy science pregnancy that we did together, but also this crazy spiritual moment where you could kind of see God's hand through all of it, and just a sweet healing. And that life, like there's moments where I thought like, how can life be better again, you know? And so in those moments, I think right after birth and, you know, through the pregnancy, it was just like a really incredible spiritual journey as well, not just like going through the pregnancy.
Yeah.
So it was really, really sweet, and still is. It's kind of like,
it's a blast.
He's 6 months now?
he just turned 7 months.
7 months. How has life with two been?
Oh man.
Any regrets?
No, it's hard to.
It's all Cathey's fault.
Yeah, I don't. This is all I've ever wanted. So like, it's hard to answer this question because I don't want to seem
Right.
like, you know.
Well, that's
like
what I'm
you
curious
can't-
about, because the reality of having kids is still the reality of having two
Yeah,
kids. And I was wondering
Yeah.
if you have like an extra mental struggle between like, no, I must be grateful every second
Oh,
of
yeah.
every day or I'm failing.
Well, think about life too. Like
Yeah.
even bad days. Like there's a part of me that's like, I am still grateful for this bad day.
Right,
Like 100%. But a bad day
It
is
was
still a
still a bad
freaking
day.
bad day. Like I'm still human. I think honestly, our family is so happy. Like John Ryder is, I can't imagine, and people always say this, you probably feel this about Penny, like can't imagine not having this child in our family.
Right. As soon as they're there, you're like, oh,
You're
well,
like,
yeah,
oh,
you were
this
always
is
supposed to
like-
be here.
Yeah. But yeah, going from the adjustment of, Cathey warned me about this. She was like, okay, going from 1 to 2 is like, it's all hands on deck. What I didn't prepare for was like me and Richard's kind of like, I don't want to say backsliding, but just like,
Well, you've got equal number kids now.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
someone's
you
always
take this
with a
one.
kid.
Yeah, you take this one, I take this one.
Yeah. So
Like the
what's
we-
left over at the end of the day for each other is
Yeah.
just significantly diminished than when you just
Yeah.
had the one.
And we were like very, you know, we had kind of like healed a little bit of that like relationship we'd had that was like, you know, I spent a year in bed and
Yeah.
like, I mean, how connected could we be
Right.
during that,
Yeah.
especially when I had treatment. So we were coming off this like really year where we were really connected, and then going from 1 to 2, I didn't expect. There's some days where I'm like, have we spoken to each other?
Yeah.
Did you? Or we laughed the other night because we tried to finish a sentence 5 times, and then he finally said, "I'll text you," and I'm like, "That's where we are."
Like the kids pulling you apart.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Charlotte would interrupt, or John
Yep.
Ryder. John Ryder is like literally an angel.
Right.
He just sits there and smiles. But like
Yeah.
John Ryder's, I mean, Charlotte, and my 5-year-old was like interjecting. And he'd be like, he's like, I'll just text you. I'm like, that's where we are in our season of marriage. And that's fine. We just need to realize it and just have plan dates more or something without the kids. I don't know.
That happened
I've wondered that.
yesterday. I was talking to Jeremy and Penny was just like, he was holding her and she was being loud. And he's like, I don't know why you're even trying to talk. I can't
just
hear
stop
you.
talking.
You can't hear me. This is a pointless conversation we're having.
It's so true. I mean, kids, wow. But I mean, he's everything I ever wanted and more. So it's like that kind of stuff just ends up. I have a different perspective probably than other people, but I don't know. Being a mom is hard. Being a human is hard. But I think I'll still be grateful for like really shitty days too.
Yeah, of course.
Can I say shitty on here?
Yes, you can.
You can say anything you want.
Anything you
really
want.
Don't bleep out.
No.
Cathey, how are you 6 or 7 months out?
Yes, thank you. I feel great. I feel really good. My postpartum experience was definitely something I was like, I was definitely ready for because I'd done it before, but I have clearly, it's like even pregnancy together, we didn't really know how to prepare for because we'd never done a surrogacy journey before. But postpartum was much easier than I anticipated. Mm-hmm. I think I went home, had a baby. It was planned and all the things like we said, and went home and I slept.
You're like, this is actually like way better.
Yeah, I was like, I passed the baton to Sarah because then all of a sudden she wasn't sleeping.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's like I slept, I ate, I didn't move my booty from the bed for 5 days. I did pump, but I had that by my bed. It's much different than like pumping and changing a diaper and then also feeding and then the milk supply and the wound care and like everything that you're doing postpartum felt much, much easier because I was
you're only worrying about
rested.
yourself.
Yes, I was only worrying about myself. And so it made me think like, what if postpartum for women is just sleep deprivation versus postpartum hormones? I mean,
100%.
I had a couple days where I cried, like bluey days, probably like honestly exhaustion because I have 4 days postpartum. We shot for People magazine.
Right. Yeah.
And what people don't realize is like when the cameras left and everything, we like all just like bawled crying in our driveway.
Burst into tears.
We're like, did they get this on the picture?
Did they get the we looked great, but we were so tired and I was bye John Ryder, see you later. It felt exhausting. Yeah. And then the next day I felt exhausted and then it went away. And then I slept and I cared for myself and my mental health felt good. My physical health I actually physically healed much faster because I was sleeping and eating. And so it was actually a much easier postpartum than expected. I pumped for about 6 weeks and then I felt done with that.
Were you worried about on the emotional side of surrogacy, or were you not worried about it because you're like, well, it's my twin sister, this baby's going to be in my life all the time? So did you kind of not really even think about that, or did you have to kind of mentally prepare for some possibilities in in all the appointments and stuff that you guys had to do leading up to it?
I mentally prepared, I guess, but mainly the whole time I was glad that I wasn't bringing a baby home. If you had 2 babies, I was like, I'm doing the pregnancy part.
Right. And then I'm done.
And you start from the very beginning, before I was pregnant with John Ryder, I knew he was Sarah's,
Right.
So it's like you mentally prepare, but you don't really have to force that mental preparation. I was more concerned about what my hormones would do that I didn't have control over, but I felt very in control of expecting what was going to happen and looking forward to passing John Ryder to Sarah. You sign up for surrogacy for that moment, for the moment that John Ryder's in the baby's in Sarah's arms. Yeah. So I was so ready for that. And so I had to kind of mentally prepare for what is my body going to do that I have no control over? But I think that's where the sleep, I was like, oh, this is much easier than I thought. So I let myself off the hook. I gave myself kind of the fall to just ease into life again and take a break from things. We took a break from the podcast. We took care of ourselves.
The summer to just
summer, fall.
I was trying to sleep an hour a day, and Cathey was looking better and better by the week.
She looked incredible.
And I was like,
wait, you just had the baby, and why do you look better than me?
Yeah,
this is not how this was supposed to go.
Shoots. I'm like, well, Like, how can I explain that I'm the one that didn't have the baby? But I was honestly so blown away at Cathey's postpartum experience. I think that I was probably more nervous than her with just like, I don't know.
It's just the unexpected.
Yeah.
It's the
Like,
unexpected.
is she going to feel super
you would feel
bluesy?
like it, not like it was your fault, but you would feel some responsibility if she did have a really hard postpartum.
Oh,
so you're going
yeah.
to be more wanting to make sure that she's okay.
And then I knew, like, I was very present during the pregnancy, but I knew, like, postpartum, there'd be a moment where, like, I would have to focus on John Ryder as a mom of a newborn.
Right.
And a piece of me during the pregnancy, like,
would leave her.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that I was wrestling with some, I mean, like, it was like pre-guilt. Like, I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But I think we both had moments throughout the pregnancy where we would, like, ebb and flow of emotions. Like, it was so sweet and amazing, but, like, it was nice because we weren't, when one of us was having, like, a tearful emotional day, the other one was, like, okay. You know, like, we kind of, like, ebbed and flowed.
Yeah.
And we were really gracious of each other, I think, too. And Cathey was incredible surrogate. Like, I think
Of course she was.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. But I think she was in tune to my emotions, too. Like, at the beginning where I was, like, feeling sort of, like, prepartum. I don't know. Where I was like, how do I connect? Like, what's my role? Like, I'm watching Cathey grow my child. Like, what do I do? You know, she was, like, very gracious of, like.
We had to hold space, and there's still grief for Sarah. I mean, I for me to grow her child and her to have that loss, even though she knew that was the only way. We had to hold space for each other for that, and that was probably
same with her postpartum. We had to be like, okay, if you feel a certain way, like, feel it. Let's talk about it. It's uncharted territory. We're having lunch with another sister couple the first week of April, and
one of them's having their baby.
They're due like
in
next
May
week
or something. Yeah, they were like, how do we navigate, like, the birthing room? We were like, oh, well, we'll tell you what we did. We didn't.
So it's
I just was like, everybody come on in.
I was like, how private are you? Because Cathey's not. But it's been cool to connect with these women after our experience that are like, hey, we read your story. We're doing this. Yeah. This is my sister. I can't have children because of this reason. Yeah. And so it's been just like a sort of a different calling that we didn't expect.
Yeah, for sure.
To inherit.
Did you guys start the podcast and that led to more exposure of your story, or what came first as far as People Magazine? Like, what was the progression of that?
We started the podcast, and actually the very first, like, press we got was the Tennessean. It was crazy. Like, one of my random neighbors, I'm pretty sure this is how it happened, but one of my random, like, single older man neighbors who, like, I think is angry and has, like, called the cops multiple times on, like, balls in his yard, like that kind of person.
Dennis the Minute. What's the guy's name?
Yes, Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Yeah, I think that's it.
That's who I picture. Yeah.
No, that's him. That's it. It's accurate. He nominated me for, like, or both of us for, like, a Mother's Day thing last year. So it was like May of last year. We'd had the podcast since March, and then the Tennessean wrote our story, and then after that, it just picked up. It picked up, yeah. So we told our story probably 12 times in the summer, and I was, like, very pregnant. At some point, I was like, Sarah, you got this one. You got this one.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm tired.
Once July came, Cathey was like, okay, we have a Zoom tomorrow at 8. And she's like,
I'm sending you a calendar invite, and I'm like, I'm going to decline.
Cathey's like, okay, Sarah, I'm tapped out. Like, this is the moment. Like, I'm tapped out. I'm like, okay.
So we took a break. Yeah. And Sarah I took over kind of postpartum. We did take a break from everything. So, but yeah, that's kind of how it started. Tennessean.
That is amazing. Wait, okay. Well, I guess I'll get to Ellen, but I wanted to say, in congruence with Ellen, because I think it was the same trip or why you guys were there. Oh, yeah. But before we get to Pop Culture Corner, we have to hear you guys meeting Ryan Gosling.
You guys.
Oh, what?
I won't recover. I will not recover.
Like, the story you guys just heard is great and all, and, like, mind blowing.
whatever. Ryan
but whatever. Getting to the real reason that you guys are on the podcast.
Yeah, you can edit, like, the first half of this, and we'll just start with Ryan, because that's, like, the real
first name.
But you guys went to
we weren't on the Ellen show. We did like participate in the Ellen's Mother's Day. We were nominated to participate in Mother's Day.
But that was over Zoom.
Yeah,
right?
It was like COVID
They
time.
weren't doing a real audience at that time.
Still, it was amazing. But this time we just went to be in the studio audience, which was really fun. And
Kevin Hart was the guest.
Yeah.
It was fun.
We had a great time. We literally, it was such a mom life, guys. We were there for one night. We went to LA for a night. And my
Worth
mom was like,
it.
"That's a really far." And I was like, "No, I get to watch 2 movies."
Yeah.
And
Like constantly. I
on
think
the plane.
yes.
If I don't have my
Yeah.
kids with me,
Are
it's
you
like a
kidding me?
6-day vacation.
Yeah, that's like
how
incredible.
many Southwest Drinks tickets can you give us? I saw the meme right before the trip where it was like the mom hanging on the wing of the airplane from the outside of the plane, and it said, "This is how bad I need a vacation." And I was like,
That was us.
full scene, because we were like, yes, absolutely.
there.
Yeah,
We'll be there for
like
one day.
yeah. There's like
We
3
went for
different
one night.
times this year that I'm like, yeah, we need to do that for one night. Eric's like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
You're
Worth
like,
it, worth it,
"Please,
worth
please."
So yeah, we went to just be in the studio audience at Ellen. We had a great time. We filled our one day that we were there to the brim. And the first place we stopped was a little luncheon area, and it's one of those places where you stand in line to order and then you go sit down. And standing next to us was actually the Ryan Gosling. And we Googled his tattoos. We were like,
Is it really him?
Is it really him? Because he had his big,
Googled
like,
his tattoo.
First of
He had his
all, let me
mask
give
on.
a description because this is very important.
This is important.
So we were at this little French cafe. It was on the grounds of Warner Brothers. So we had like time for a quick bite before we went to the Ellen show. And I will say the Ellen show, Cathey and I were like, we're excited to actually go because the Mother's Day special that we did was all virtual, and we were in the special audience. So it was cool. We got like all these free gifts, and it was amazing.
A dream. My
Sweet.
face hurt from smiling.
Yeah. We got like Ellen stuff delivered to our house for like a month. It was really cool. But we
Whoa.
were excited to actually be in LA because I had
Right.
never spent time in LA before, and it was just a brief time. So we're with 2 of our friends, and one of them is like, "Guys, that looks like Ryan Gosling." And he had
Guys.
the worn boots,
Everybody act
the
natural.
rolled up jeans. She had like a floral button up. That's
Cathey,
like, are you
Cathey
sweaty?
like can't like stay still in her seat just hearing the story again.
Floral button up with
I'm like blushing.
honestly, like this is like too much detail, but his like
it's not.
shoulder
Nothing is.
sleeves were like
buttoned.
like no, not
Oh.
buttoned, but like rolled up over his bicep.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then he had like this the dog tags. I was like,
hot.
is it? Oh yeah.
Are those in?
Hot.
Are those in right now?
They're real,
they
they're
are
real
now,
heavy.
Joy.
look
They are
like-
now.
They look
That
like
was
really
like-
You've heard it
extra
here
expensive.
first.
100% dissecting his out. And then, honestly, he had an N95 mask on, and he was getting like 500. This is also important because it's now my new favorite drink because he drinks it. He
Go
was
on.
getting from the cooler the Topo Chicos, but the grapefruit flavor.
Okay.
Which I didn't know existed. And so I was going to get one, but he took all of them.
Ooh.
So I think he was like getting
Son of a
lunch.
bitch.
I know.
I hate this guy.
Because he left in the N95 bag, and my friends are like, Cathey, everybody's like, it's him. We Googled his tattoos. That's him. And I was like, can I get the grapefruit Topo Chico? Sorry, it was Ryan Gosling and they were out, so he took them all. But
All right, I'm going to take over. So this
Yeah.
is what happened.
okay, but I was getting to that because he was standing there
Okay.
forever ordering to-go
He was,
food
he
for
was.
like the crew.
Because
and
he's
we
so
were-
generous.
Yeah, that's what I was trying
That's-
to. Thank
that's
you
the
for
point.
reminding me of like where I was
Yes.
going
Right,
with this.
right.
Why is he getting food?
Exactly.
For, like, the
Not like a
entire
PA
crew?
or
No, like
right.
Yes.
he's so generous. He's one of the nicest people I know.
I know. Personally.
I mean, we text. Yeah.
So Sarah is the boldest of all of us, and so she's like, "Excuse me, are you Ryan Gosling?" Like all of us, were, who's gonna do it?
yeah,
Sarah's like,
somebody's
"I
got to do it. Yeah.
And so he's walking out. We're like outside, and we
I
asked
went back in
Hands
to
just
get
full
him.
of
Sarah.
Topo Chico.
You went back in to ask him for a Topo Chico.
Well, we left, and
Yeah.
we regretted not saying.
Oh, of course.
Are you Ryan? So Sarah's like,
Yeah.
I got it. So she goes back in. Are you Ryan Gosling? He's like, yes. He walks by and we're like, can we get a photo? And he's so nice. He's like, where are y'all from? We're Nashville. He's like, well, I can't because I'm on COVID protocol, but hope you guys have a great time at Ellen because we had a little chat. Then he walks back in because he forgot something. And I think he could see
I think
that we
he
were.
came back just to take a picture.
Yeah.
Because when I said, "Are you Ryan Gosling?" he said, "That is I." Isn't that so Ryan Gosling?
That's important.
That's very,
I couldn't
very
leave that out
important.
because I'm
Yeah.
like, that
Can't
is
leave
so
that
Ryan. And then
Of
I was
course
like,
he would say that.
I know. I was
That
like,
is
well, you
I.
have a mask on, and my friends really want to take a picture. And then
My friends threw him under the bus.
Yeah,
smooth.
100. I was like,
My
those
friends made
losers.
me come over here.
Friends
I
want
was
a
like those
picture.
losers over there. But anyway, what are you doing? I'm kidding. But he came back. Cathey
came
finished.
back.
Yeah, he came back.
He came back. he went back in a handful of times for things that the people had forgotten from his to-go bag, and I think he passed so many times, I could tell that we were actually like about to pass out.
Right.
Oh, we were like on the ground, like trying to recover.
Honestly. So he was like, all right, I'll take a picture. And then Chad took a picture with us. And then when he left, he said, bye, Nashville. We were like, he gave us a nickname.
He remembers
which one did he
where we
mean?
were from.
Yeah, we were like, which ones? But he got into a white Range Rover, which is this is my friend Brooke is like total like tabloid. Like she Googled like deep dive. She's like, she found out that
Sarah's my Brooke.
Okay, well, she found out that Eva Mendes drives the white Range Rover.
God, he's married to her. Or his partner? I don't know.
I think that he's obviously listening to this podcast, so
obviously.
Ryan Gosling left you. No I'm kidding. But
I love Eva Mendes.
If you could if he could just DM us and clarify that'd
if
be
that
great.
is his white Range Rover.
Wait, sorry. Yes. Oh, sorry. Eva Mendes drives that.
So we think they were there together, and
she was like, those girls are
In the
freaking
car.
out. Like, go take a picture. Maybe that's Brooke's
100%.
philosophy.
That is what happened. 100%.
I was married to Ryan Gosling,
Yes.
which I think about. If I was married to Ryan, I would be like, Ryan, look at those sad girls.
Come on, just take a picture. Come on,
But,
Ryan.
like,
It will take it requires barely anything of you.
Yeah, like
He was like,
I mean,
they're
you
pretty.
would
We would be friends. Like,
100%. Oh yeah, we would be. Look, we're like the same. And but he was like, you
We're
would
the
make
same.
those their year, and he did make our year.
he sure did.
If you
we
look
were
at the
ready to leave
live-
LA, and it was like our first place we went.
We were
well,
like Ellen freaking who? Like,
Yeah. What are we here for?
yeah, it was kind of all downhill after that. But it was honestly the live photo. Some genius decided to put their photo on live. So
Yes.
we watched the live photo of him like clenching his jaw and smiling like
hundreds.
We are so
Thousands.
embarrassing. We're so embarrassing.
Thousands of times.
Yeah, we watch it on a sad day. That's like our big moment. Yeah.
well, I didn't know that story, but I'm so glad you brought it
Yes,
up.
I'm glad
So
I
happy to
remembered
know
it.
that.
When I was thinking about like all the publicity that's happened after their story, I was like, oh yeah, which could have been our pop culture corner in itself, but
Yeah,
but
that really
we
is.
still have just enough time.
I'm going to say that this younger recap is going to be terrible because I watched it while I was pregnant. I
Right.
skimmed over, but okay.
All right, she's got 1 minute to.
I mean, I'm not going to take a
Yes,
minute
Yes. Okay.
for
Oh,
this
it's
one.
going to be way less.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, we could be on their podcast.
I think that's what needs
and
to
then
happen.
we can like continue.
We'll just be on yours.
Let's do
Actually,
it. Come on ours. Can
Don't
we
do
sit in
ours
your-
twice.
Can we sit in
Seems
your fancy room?
ridiculous.
Can we use this? This is great. Can we use this?
Oh yeah. Well, people be hearing your story over again, though. I feel like for your listeners, they would just be like, "We know all this."
We would ask you questions.
Oh, you mean once we're on yours? I
We
thought
could
you're
talk
saying
about this like off the podcast. Let's get out our
Cut that.
calendars.
Cut that. Cut that.
Cut.
Yeah.
Joy.
Is next Tuesday good for you?
What are you guys doing after?
All right. Ready? We gotta
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Ready?
Get
Go.
it done.
Okay. This Younger is a show that I watched while I was pregnant. I already said that. When, there's a mom who's like 40-ish, looks really young, has a daughter who's like coming of age. Maybe she's like 18-ish. This is also going to be pretty inaccurate.
lot of dirty
Her name's
facting.
Liza. She has dirty facting for sure. She gets a job, like gets laid off maybe.
She doesn't even know.
I do. I don't really remember. Gets a job at a PR. I read the thing on the Wikipedia. Gets a job at a PR agency, and then I fully am just remembering this. Hillary Duff is like her boss, but she also is like in her 20s, and she does look older than Hillary Duff. She does really well and has like major success that doesn't really make sense in a really short amount of time. And I think she ends up dating somebody that her son dates. And what I mainly remember about it is that I think in like the third season, guy that she likes who's cute, and she like finally meets a guy who's not too young, has sex with a sheep. So
Hold on. That's in the episode?
Dude, she told me that. I go, have you seen Younger? She goes, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one where the guy bangs the sheep. And I go, what are you talking about? That's definitely not the show I'm thinking
You're
of.
like, wait, that's
Nobody
their favorite
remembered
show.
that.
But you've seen Younger.
I have, but I had to look it up. I did not
I've
believe
seen
her.
it. I know,
Wait,
but I was like,
Can you remember who the guy was?
yeah, it's the guy who like lived in upstate New York, and he had a really nice like compound with stone buildings.
Oh, she met him at like the farmer's market.
Yeah,
Yes,
and he
thank
has
you.
this huge
and he makes like wool things
book
and
that
then,
he's written.
Yes,
And
and that
yeah, I
was a
forgot that
very
part.
fleeting episode, but I could see why it stuck in your mind.
Yeah, I was
I'm
like,
surprised I didn't remember it.
I know,
I had to
like-
rewatch it
I'm
because I was
worried
like,
why we didn't remember that.
Like concerned.
blocked
yeah.
it.
like I liked it and definitely was really watchable. I liked that it showed motherhood and like she like lived a life. I felt like I'm never, before I even had the baby, I was like just sleeping all the time. So I was like, I'm never gonna live again. And she seemed to be like really
Yeah,
living.
she like found. She like
Yeah.
Wait,
her
but
career was
we
revitalized.
forgot the big twist is that she couldn't get a job, right? Because and that's why
Right.
as
She
a
was too
40-year-old,
old.
she
Yeah.
had like had this big gap in her resume.
Right, I
So
forgot
she-
that.
yeah.
Part, yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
so
whole
There's a
point.
gap in her resume.
She went
yeah.
back and she says she's like 25. Yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah.
And then she gets
Yes.
the first
she's
job.
actually
And she
like
fools
40.
everybody.
Get
Yep.
it, girl. Do what you got to do, I guess.
What you gotta do? Well, we are officially out of time. Sarah, Cathey, I love you guys
Joy.
so much. I'm so
Joy,
glad. I
we
can't
love
believe that this
you.
is the way I'm getting to see you instead
know.
of just like
Believe
a
it.
play date with our kids.
Okay, we got to do the play date.
I know. I
But
tell Ava, I'm like, you do kind of have cousins that live here. We just
Aw.
don't ever see them.
so like
We're going to make it happen.
I know.
it's
Now that
on
the sun
us.
is shining a little longer, we
Yes.
can probably make it happen.
Let's do it.
Thank y'all so much. This was really meaningful.
Yep.
Thank you
for me.
having us.
Just for Sarah.
Yes. This
I
is so
appreciate
fun.
it.
But yes, everybody check out Talk to Me Sister. Yeah.
Follow them at
Thanks.
the number 2
Oh,
me
yeah, the number
sister
2.
on Instagram.
That's it.
And what else do we say?
I don't know. You're doing a great job.
You can
Have a
visit,
great day.
You can visit our link tree in the bio of our Instagram because we have our American Cancer Society campaign. If you feel like donating, you can donate $2, and we would love you.
All our funds for that are going to female scientists in the state of Tennessee who are
Oh,
studying
cool.
cancer. So
Yeah,
just
cancer
Yeah, we
research.
do something like that too.
Yeah.
I thought I might as well
Join
plug
it.
that. Like, why not?
I made a link tree last week for us. Just haven't put it up yet.
We just
We-
didn't use
when,
it.
when we made our link tree, we were like, we've made it.
We have more than one link.
Yeah, but thanks for having us on.
Of
and we can't wait
course.
to have y'all on the
I know.
podcast,
Let's
too.
do it.
We love y'all.
Love you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.